having worked both on the film and TV side of things, like you said, TV's quicker, film can drag out. Do you have a preference between the two, or obviously it just depends what's on your plate at the time?
I think it just depends on what's on my plate. There was a time when I said I only wanted to do films from that point on because it's just a different lifestyle. You know, you can work on maybe 10 movies at once very comfortably. But with a
Mm-hmm.
TV show, you feel like that's kind of an all-encompassing, you know, especially with a big network show like Fantasy Island or like Everything's Gonna Be Okay. You feel like that's kind of your world, and then maybe you have some movies going on too. Um, but the flip side of that is TV is a regular paycheck and it's a longer project, and it's different. My philosophy is just to say yes to everything because you never know who you're going to meet, who's going to take you on to their next 10 projects. You never know what you'll learn. So as long as you're able to say yes to something, and as long as it's not something that you're going to suffer, I think you try it and see what happens.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it's sort of, that was a good segue as far as advice for folks who, whether they're looking to, let's say they want to go into music supervision, bar none, what would one piece of advice would you give them?
It goes hand in hand with that. I mean, say yes. You know, I talk to so many up and coming, you know, aspiring music supervisors, and they say they have these big dreams, which is awesome, but they say, I can't wait to become a music supervisor and only work on, you know, projects that speak to me or projects that I identify with. And so what my response to them is, well, you still have to pay your bills in the meantime. And so, you know, you're not always going to get to work on every single thing that you want, but you don't know what's going to come out of the other things that you say yes to. I
Yeah.
mean, at the same time that I was working on Fantasy Island, I was doing indie films. You know, sometimes someone will reach out to me with they're doing a student film for USC or UCLA, and they'll be bold and they're like, I can't believe I'm asking you this, but would you music supervise my film? I don't have any money. And
Mhm.
depending on the project and depending on how cool the person is, I'll say yes because you don't know who that person is going to be. And,
Yeah.
you know, one student that I said yes to, I was like, okay, this is kind of a cool little indie film that he's doing for school, and he sold it to HBO. You know,
Wow.
you just don't know. And now he calls me for all of his projects. And it's like, if you have the time and you have the energy, it's worth it's worth trying to see, you know, what's out there. Make those connections.
100% connections, pr- press the flesh, go to conferences, be seen, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's that's a great story, because like you said, you never know, or if you shut that door and then the next thing you're like, oh my god, they just got picked up by Netflix.
Yeah. Or that person becomes, you know, the next Spielberg, and you're like, oh,
Right.
I should have responded to his email. But, you know, someone
Hmm.
gave me a shot when I didn't know anything and I didn't know anybody. So if I'm able to do that, if I'm working on enough other things that I can pay my bills and I'm able to take
Hmm.
on somebody's student film, I'm happy to do that.